is land-based fog. Yes, so we are in the mist. So Tammy and I was wondering, does mist affect the tracks on the road? Not at all, Tammy. Sometimes you can see a slight dampness, but if anything, it actually makes the tracks a little bit easier to see. So it doesn't actually affect them at all. Come on, Mr. Djuma. Be quite nice to catch up with him. Find him sitting atop a tree with some meat. Just checking carefully this whole area. Zigging and zagging. Zoe says, I mentioned gorillas in the mist, and when are we going to see them? Well, hopefully soon. Zoe, I have seen gorillas, but not the ones that live in the mist, which is the highland gorilla, or the mountain gorilla. I've seen the western lowland gorilla in Gabon, and very interesting, and strangely enough, I've never seen a gorilla in the mist. I think that's definitely more for the ones that live up in the Virungu Mountains, on the sort of border of quite a couple of countries, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Rwanda. That's where the gorillas in the mist live. Oh, where would I recommend going to see gorillas in the mist? Any of those three countries, Eastern Congo, if you're very brave, because it's not exactly the safest spot in the world. And I would probably say Rwanda is a very good place, or Uganda. Great places both to see gorillas in the mist. Who knows, maybe one day we'll be doing a live gorilla safari. Maybe. Who knows where we might end up. No sign of leopard tracks yet, but hopefully this is the leopard this is. He'll just be lounging next to the Buffles Hook waterhole, which we are approaching. Oh, the mist is getting really thick again. I can really feel it on my eyelashes. I don't know if you can actually see it. I can actually see it between the camera lens and myself. Oh, as beautiful as the mist is, I know for a fact most cameramen do not like mist. There we go, John Blaine. Big emphatic shake of the head.
It is very pretty.
There we go. He does admit it's pretty, but as a cameraman, it's very irritating. He's got to not only clean this lens, he's got to clean his viewfinder lens. So it does make it quite trying for the cameraman. We're about to arrive at the Buffles Hook waterhole, where you can see what's out and about in the mist. I do have the slight feeling that we've been sent on a wild goose chase. I don't generally miss leopard tracks, and we certainly haven't seen one yet. The only thing I saw was a lioness track. Whoops. barely even see the water. Oh, hello. No gorillas, but an elephant in the mist. And a hippopotami. As the elephant disappears. And there's a hippopotami in the mist. You can barely see it. Chandra thinks this is quite funny. But let's have a look at the Ellie. He's probably a bit easier to see in the mist. Let's move the vehicle. So unfortunately, none of the male leopards we're looking for, but I'll take an elephant over nothing. Ooh, more elephants just appearing out of the mist. Hello, big girl. She looks a bit upset. Just watch her body language. She's not with us. She's upset with something that she's facing. It could be that young male elephant we initially saw. Well, that's exactly what she's upset with. She's chasing that young bull. There he is, joining Mum. So you just see from her body language, she was very annoyed with something. And she was annoyed at something that wasn't in our direction, which is always a good thing when it comes to elephants. And we saw that young bull, and then she's just seen him off. She's now destroying the Ziziphus, but there's the young bull she chased. He's going to go hide in the mist now. It's quite eerie looking at it like that. It's very different. Well, Anne-Marie says, this mist is so cool. It's almost like a scene out of Jurassic Park. Oh, is he going to go down the hill? I love watching elephants go down hills. Oh yes, you're very big, very scary, and you've been severely chastised. Now he's trying to put on a good display. Now that he's got himself a bit of distance from the big female. It's very sort of ghostly. It's a ghostly elephant coming through the mist.
Sorry.
Oh, I got very confused for a second. I was looking at my monitor and I'm like, what? Because I pushed my monitor to try and clean it, and I thought I'd lost a picture, but I hadn't. Chandra was just trying to get rid of some of the moisture on the lens. Oh, here we go. Here comes the female who just chased him. Is he going to get another chasing? Oh. No, I'm going to decide for a drink rather than a chastising. Very serene sighting of this big elephant cow in the mist. Gag is wondering, do elephants ever get a runny nose? I suppose it's possible, and they do have quite a lot of mucus in their trunk, but I'm not sure if they get a true runny nose like human beings get. You actually hear that elephant drinking, so I'm going to keep quiet and just listen. Quite a few other elephants around, somewhere in the mist. Yeah, there's branches breaking. There's the little one. I love it when they go down hills. They seem to get too much momentum. Nate would like to know, what do you do when you find yourself surrounded by elephants? Well, I switch off and enjoy it, Nate. It's one of those special moments you get to have. So it all depends, Nate, on the individual elephant herd. And you can read their behavior beforehand. So if they're unrelaxed, then I'll just move away before they surround me. But if they're a relaxed herd, I'll just let them stand around the vehicle and I'll enjoy it. So, that young bull is moving around the edge of the bottom-foot waterhole. There he is, he's also having a drink. And you can see with that mist around, such an exquisite sighting. We sit here quietly while drinking. Look at that. I hope you guys made some great screenshots. So elephants are not the only impressive thing that you see in the mist. And sometimes some of the smaller creatures give you the most wonderful view. And the mist is just what you need to bring them out. So let's go have a look at what James has got.
Look at that, everybody. We're just here. We've come to Cheetah Plains. We're hoping to try and get into the sighting of the two cheetah. They are, at the moment, fast asleep and those big open areas, but of course there are many dozens of people at the moment viewing them, so we're going to have to stand by for a little while. But there's lots to explore here at Cheetah Plains, and nothing more wonderful than that quite stunning view of spiders sitting with the morning dew and mist caught on their webs, and you can see the little spider in the middle of that web. I've got no idea which orb spider that is, but I've made lots of comment as to how few spiders we've had this year. I think there are a lot more, perhaps, than I thought there were. They're just particularly well hidden. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's totally invisible almost to the naked eye. Anyway, there are lots of them around here. We're going to move on and get a little bit closer to the cheetah sighting, and while we do that, just enjoy those elephants with the enormously enthusiastic, highly irascible Brent Leo Smith.
So we're still with these ellies here at Buffels Hook, and wasn't that spider web just spectacular? Oh, that looks like I'm going to eat. Let's just move forward a skosh. Lovely long ivory, very even. So she's heading off in the direction where we heard a lot of other elephants while we've been sitting here. I think there might be some more there. And that is the general area where the leopard tracks were supposed to be. James Richards wondering, are certain animals better adapted to seeing in the mist? Will it help or hinder certain species? It doesn't really help or hinder anyone. I mean, although it might look very thick, this type of mist isn't that thick. I mean, you can still see a good 100 feet. So this type of mist isn't really going to help or hinder anyone. Here we go. The female had a drink. Now it's baby's turn. There we go. Stopping for a quick schnozzle with Mom. Such a peaceful moment. A young elephant suckling. So we're going to continue to see if we can find these leopard tracks. But while we do that and leave you with one last peaceful glimpse of a female elephant suckling her young. Let's go see what Commander Bond is up to.
Hello everybody, we're still waiting to try and get into the cheetah sighting. I'm afraid the radios are just simply not functioning in a way that will make this very easy, but we are going to do our best. I don't think we're too far from them, but I think there still are quite a few people trying to get in there. There were some birds that I was hoping David might be able to super zoom on the top of this tree. David, do you see any birds there? I think they have flown away. But you know what I think they were, David, and I don't think they're on your list. I think they were yellow-throated petronias.
Yellow-throated petronias?
Yes. But you can't have it because you haven't seen it. So I'm afraid your bird list remains a paltry 20 at this stage.
Right? Somewhere, huh?
Yes. We found him a black-headed oriole, everybody, on our way to Cheetah Plains. It flew across the road in front of us, so I allowed David to have it. I know that you didn't see it with him, and I'm sorry about that. Hopefully we'll get it up. I think it should be our goal while we wait to see these cheetah to get David's bird list up to 30. There is a really nice example of the long-tailed cassia. Very characteristic of Cheetah Plains for some reason, so there is no question that there is... the radio is going to be a little bit distracting, everyone. Simply because this is the only way that I'm able to hear what's going on. That long-tailed cassia is the sjambok pod, or that very long podded tree there. And we were trying to find some examples of it the other day to film. I'm still not really sure what we were doing that for, but I just couldn't resist climbing it.
Slowly moving north. Where are you?
So we're just listening to the radio, seeing what the status is there. We'll see what happens. Hello, Notebook Girl. It's a very nice name, Notebook Girl. It sounds very sort of literary and slightly nostalgic. David, if you just point your camera over there, you just see the same sort of thing where the mist has been caught by the grasses and the spider webs, and the number of tiny little spider webs there is just astounding. So everyone, at least Notebook Girl, you say, what is my favorite thing that I've ever seen on safari? It's impossible to say. There are so many things, and the reason I stopped here, of course, was because if you look at something like that, this is a treasure trove of little gems, of wonderful, exciting things to see, some of them very subtle, some of them very brutal, but all of them equally magnificent. And you can see there are hundreds and hundreds of tiny little spiders, from tent web spiders like those ones you're looking at now, to the orb spiders, to the jumping spiders, and we just don't even see them, you know, because the mist doesn't come up like it does today very often and catch the very cleverly hidden webs of all these millions of spiders. It's just brilliant. Alrighty, on we go. We're getting slightly closer because I can tell the radio comms are getting slightly better with that sighting, but I'm still not sure exactly what's going on. But hopefully we'll be lucky. Yeah, so it does, doesn't it? I mean, you say it looks like we're in an entirely different part of Africa with all of the thick mist having just disappeared. It disappeared within, what, Dave, about 3 seconds? Yeah. We were sitting with those spider webs that you saw when you were looking with the elephant with Brent, and you came quickly across to look at those big orb web nests, and as you crossed away, we looked up and the mist was gone. But if you look in front of us there, you can see that it is still sort of moving gently. You can see that greyness on the horizon, and that is that same cloud that came bungling through here earlier. And I think it's, well, there's more mist, further mist as we go sort of towards the valleys of those clearings. Let's see what else we can. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to keep doing this. I can't stop myself. Check this one out. How's that? I mean, look at that. Look at it. I just think that's too wonderful. And you don't see these without this mist. And Dave, if you go up and to the left, there's an even smaller one. So that's about 2 inches across, everyone. And then behind it, you can see an even smaller one that's probably about 1 inch across. Every little branch is strung with silk. Tiny, tiny, tiny things that you would never normally see at all. That's probably about 1/2 inch across. Look, there's the little spider. You can see her sitting there in the middle of her web. Very cross today, of course, because everything can see her web. That is tiny, everyone. That's. I'm just trying to see which one Dave's looking at. I can see it. It's 1 inch across. From top to bottom there is 1 inch. Which must make each of those little strands, or what do they call them? The ones that go around the outside. I can't believe that I don't remember that. Anyway, they are less than 1 millimeter from each other. And there's an even smaller one. Look at that. Look at all the dew caught, or the mist caught in that web. I just think this is too magnificent for words. See whiz. Right, Brent Leo Smith is back with even more elephants. While we enjoy the spider's webs and try and figure out what's going on with the cheetah sighting, let's head back across to him.
So, we heard these elephants while we're sitting at Buffelshoek. Now we've moved here and we are completely surrounded by a massive herd of ellies. And fortunately, there's this female with a tiny little baby, a couple of months old, sitting next to us. And that female, look at the little one. And look at that. Tiny, tiny. The mist is lifting a little bit, the sun's burning it off. And the big female there is eating what a lot of people call elephant lollipops. So you'll often find fields of round leaf teak that are kept at that exact height by the elephants feeding off them. So you have massive stumps and these tiny little trees coming out, and that's all the elephants farming the round leaf teak. A little one. There we go. Look at the massive size difference between mom and the baby. That little one exploring with its trunk. Not quite adept at using it yet. And isn't that incredible? Even on the tiny ellies, if you look at their ears, you can see that massive network of capillaries behind their ears that help to cool them down Mom moving on to the next round leaf teak tree. And little one playing in the very dry mud. Practicing picking up things. Looks like it's got a bit of soil. Could be some minerals in the soil that it feels it might be lacking. So some salt or iron. So picking up little bits of mud and chewing on them. Or could just be practicing to get its head around its big nose. Isn't that just too cute? Can't quite master the art of picking things up yet. Oh, there we go. Let's go for something smaller. I can get that in my mouth. Well, if the trunk fails, get onto your knees and use your mouth. Ellen in North Dakota is wondering about the miscreant young elephants. So the miscreant elephants are generally between about 14 and 20 years old. And Ellen's wondering, do they act out because they're missing the mom group? I don't think they're missing the mom group, Ellen. I think it's more... oh, sorry. I snorted at a little female. Yes, you're very scary. That is a very ridiculous trumpet you have. Yes, eat your leaf. So, Ellen, I don't think they're missing the mom group as much as the fact that they've got so many hormones rushing around through their body. So it's more the testosterone and adolescence that causes them to act out rather than the missing of the mom group. We're just going to move forward a little bit. It's literally, when I say there's elephants everywhere, there are elephants everywhere. See, there, and on our right, big grey bottoms. Let's try and see where it's going to be our best view. Well, there's a nice little group. So Shannon, hi Shannon. Shannon's in Ohio. And Shannon's wondering, how soon does an elephant have the next baby after it's got a little one? Does it wean the first one first? It most definitely does, Shannon. So generally, an elephant will wait till the other is a young, sort of 5 or 6 years old, and definitely on the way to being an adult before they'll even consider mating again. Oh dear, Jean-Ray is going to hate me. I'm going to wait. Hopefully the creature I'm looking at lands before I make Jean-Ray try to find it. Oh, he's trying to find it. Oh, it's that way. Oh, it's going to land.
Watch your head.
Now that is a stalk-eyed fly. It's gone. It's in front of the car. So it looks like a wasp, but it's not. It's actually a stalk-eyed fly. So it mimics a venomous creature like a wasp, even though it is just a type of fly. And you quite often find stalk-eyed flies around elephant dung. Unfortunately, you can't see his stalks because he is moving quite quickly. Well done, Jean-Ray. I'm going to pay for that breakfast, though. Jean-Ray is not going to be happy with me. But so they've actually got sort of eyes that stick out the side of their heads, and they're very yellow eyes. And you quite often find them around elephants. Oh, look, hello. There's that massive herd. I mean, just from what I can see in a quick glance around, there's at least 20, 25. And I can hear a whole bunch more around us. So we didn't get the best view of that stalk-eyed fly. Let's see if I can find a picture. So Angel Lady would like to know, how tall was that little guy? He was picking up the mud. Ooh, I don't know, probably a meter at the shoulder, maybe not even. There's elephants all around us. So I think stalk-eyed flies are very cool, and just from the brief view I would say it was number 3. So it doesn't have an English name, but you can see why they're called a stalk-eyed fly. So those are the eyes on the end of those stalks. So this particular one I've seen around elephants quite often, and it's specifically around their dung. So the other stalk-eyed flies form big swarms. These are generally found individually like that, and they are quite big. So very, very cool looking creature, the stalk-eyed fly. There's about 9 or 10 different species in southern Africa, but only 3 that we get in this area, and the others are quite a bit smaller. Let's move forward again. Look, elephants everywhere. Yes, very scary. Yes, madam. There's something so peaceful about just sitting with elephants, watching the occasional stalk-eyed fly fly by. Feeding off a knob thorn. And I think the elephants are actually going to do us a massive favor this drought. They're really going to open up the bush and give some of the grass species a chance when we get rain. So nature works in cycles. So the fact that elephants are going to push and smash and crash and bash trees and bushes is not a bad thing. So we've had a very wet sort of 8 years, and that's caused quite a lot of thickets to form and little trees to grow, and it's been great, but now I think it's time for some grassland. Always unbelievable to me how dexterous their trunks are. So we're just going to sit here amongst the elephants and enjoy ourselves. But while we do that, James would like to give you a quick update about how his morning's going.
Hello everybody, we're just giving you a quick update on what's going on with the cheetah, and the story at the moment is that we can go in there. We're now the first standby, so we'll go in there just now. I just want to give a quick update from Ephraim as to exactly where it is. Hey Bob. Hey Bob. Minjan. This kan kan tikwi. Tikwi. Yeah. Te leguswana Martin. Martin. Oh, okay, all right. So inga jigale Martin. Okay, okay. So he's just saying that they're in a big open area, it's the other side of the water. So we'll just go and pop past the water hole here, and we'll have a look there. Welcome back. Looks like everything is on track for us going to see them, so that's very good news. They haven't moved too far south, they haven't moved too far north. So we'll go and have a look at the water hole here, and then we'll continue. In the meantime, Louise? I'm not sure if I have communications with the final control. Oh, I copy you now, yes, thank you, thank you. Now, David, I hear some birds here. I still would like to get you another 10 species before we go to the cheetahs.
I'd quite like that, James.
What we're listening to there, everybody, is the white-browed scrub robin. We can't give it to David unless he's seen it, you see. And they're so seldom seen. We were chatting earlier about robins and their wonderful calls, and the fact that they are definitely my favourite group of birds. No, David, come on, let's go ahead. There's some water up ahead here. Have you seen the three-banded plover yet, David? Right. Three-banded plover coming up. You should, in theory, be able to get a bird list roughly of around 240 in this area, if you're very lucky. But it's not, I mean, up there are parts of the Kruger. There are 500 species of birds that have been seen in the Kruger National Park, and up in the far north around Pafuri, they have a bird list of about 350, if you can believe it. Oh, David, there's a whole suite of birds here. Let's have a look.
Who's the apex for this Kankanka?
It's James.
James, I'm putting out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Sorry about that. We're going to go and see some cheetah, everybody. That's very exciting. Righty. Now, as far as I know, they just should be through the open area here.
Makes sense. Putting out of this Kankan, full static, sideblock, leaving hand please. Takes unlock, James, thank you.
Oh, this is wonderful. And I don't think there's anyone behind us, which means we will probably be able to spend an extended period with them. So there's an open area down through here. I think they're just inside there. There's an elephant. Elephant's going to have to wait. You've seen some elephants. Can you see the elephant there, David? It is just eating some leafies. I'm too excited to stop, I'm afraid. There is the elephant, eating quietly under the tree. Oh, and there's another one and another one there. All right, in the meantime, we should be right near there, I think. But while I get in there, let's go back to Brent.
So we're still with the Ellies, and they've just started moving now. Just trying to get us into a spot. Hello, elephants. Sorry, don't get upset with me. go. So the ellies are moving off. I'm going to try to keep with them. Morning Aaron, the man from the land of the long white cloud. I'm surprised you're not watching Super Rugby at the moment, Aaron. Well, I think it actually starts in a little bit. But Aaron would like to know, how much do I miss spending time with ellies when I'm away? Well, when you see little gorgeous creatures like that one, a lot. And they definitely do sort of calm me, elephants, and I'm a very sort of hyperactive person, and ellies do definitely have a huge calming effect, and I do miss them. But fortunately, even when I'm not at work, normally I do live in the bush, so I get to spend a lot of time with wild animals even when I'm not working, which is wonderful. And here we've got the ellies in their teak farm. As I was saying, they tend to manicure these round-leaf teak to the ideal eating height, and you can just see all the little bushes in front of them have been kept that height by elephants. There we go, that's the round-leaf teak, Pterocarpus rotundifolia. You can see very round leaves. So Elaine would like to know, since the accident that's causing me to have all these hip issues 2 years ago, do elephants make me nervous? Not at all, Elaine. It was a complete fluke a thing, and it wasn't the elephant's fault. It wasn't my fault. It was just one of those things that happens. But, so, no, ellies don't make me nervous at all. But Elaine, we're going to leave the elephants now and go to something I'm sure everyone is very excited to see, and it's a cat of the spotted variety.
Look everybody, it's two cheetah. Now Notebook Girl, I believe these are your first ever cheetah. Well, welcome to it. Aren't they wonderful? Two males, adults, and the only other sort of semi-social cats that there are in the world. They'll be brothers most likely. And we'll go a little bit closer just now. I just wanted to stop here as a sort of moment of discovery first and get an idea of them. Isn't that great? Oh, that's fantastic. And as I said, Notebook Girl, your first cheetah, which is marvellous. Laura, you ask a very valid question all the way from Alabama. You say, do cheetah ever jump on cars here like they do in the Masai Mara? Laura, they don't. You know, they don't have to. They have a lot of cover, and they also can get vantage from the termite mounds. The reason they do it there, I think, is for vantage points. We also don't see them nearly as commonly here, and so they're not quite as habituated to the vehicles as they are over there. How's that, David? Don't say I'll never do nothing for you. I hear. Shannon, you want to know what I would do if one of these cheetah jumped on the car? Well, Shannon, I'd probably squeal like a small child to start with. And then I might become quite excited. It would depend on the cheetah's intention. Were the cheetah to find me something sort of delicious to eat, then I imagine I would be totally terrified beyond my wits, but I think I would just be excited. I have viewed them on foot before, and they are generally very confiding. This is fantastic, isn't it? They are so fat. They've had a very nice meal, clearly. Now let's just reverse and we'll get them in the light. How's that? This is fantastic. They are starting to head south now towards Mala Mala. Look how tall they are. They're much taller than leopards. Now, while I move, and you want to know how it is you can judge their age. You know, I'm so inexperienced with cheetah, I don't actually know, other than for condition. So, you know, like with lions and leopards, their nose colour and their skin condition and all that sort of thing, you can tell. But with these guys, I don't actually know. I don't know how long we're going to be able to be here, just in case they do cross, and I know that there are now one or two others who want to get into the sighting. There you are, Davy. Isn't that fantastic? And Margaret, you ask a very good question. Do cheetah climb trees in the same way that leopard do? No, they don't. But they do climb a little bit. So if a tree has got sort of a slope on it, for example, they can run up that, but they don't have the claws in the same way that a leopard has claws. So for example, Dave, yeah, that tree that this cheetah is going past now. Look, 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 look. Dave, on the tree there. Just sharpening the claws and marking territory. That is just brilliant. See, spraying, marking territory. Now watch, onto the log, Dave. How fantastic is that, everyone? You don't see that every day. And this is the kind of tree that a cheetah will climb. Well, watch out, buddy. Your brother might just wet your face there by mistake. This is just fantastic, hey? Chaps, you don't see this every day. This really is spectacular. Anna Marie, you say you want to know if there are any others around here because we see these two males quite a lot. Anna Marie, we've seen tracks of a female, but this is the sort of dominant coalition of the area. Now, by dominant, I don't mean they're not. By dominant, I don't mean dominant like a male lion gets dominant. They're dominant in so much as there aren't any other male cheetah around the place. But they will move, and this territorial marking that they're doing is very much temporary. So they don't often, they won't sort of mark territory in a permanent way in the same way that a lion will. So it's possible that others might come into this area, but these guys are the territorial males. This is just fantastic. Look, marking territory now. Don't know which one to look at. And Angel Lady, you make exactly the correct comment. You say their heads are so tiny. They are tiny. And they're tiny for a very good reason. They're tiny, Angel Lady, because they are so very specially adapted to not being, at least for speed. And that small head is an adaptation for that. It means that the jaw can be slightly smaller. And for the jaw to be smaller, it means that they carry less weight, they can be faster. Isn't this brilliant? Oh, two cheetah walking across the open clearing. So, unlike with a leopard, for example, everybody, you've got a situation where the leopard's got it's got a massive head because it's got much bigger jaw muscles, but that does inevitably make it slower. It's unable, the cheetah's completely over-specialized for speed, whereas a leopard is specialized for kind of stalking and that sort of thing. And so you find this very small head with much smaller canines, a much bigger nasal cavity, but it is just simply part of the fact that they are adapted for speed. Curious one. I don't know the answer to your question. You want to know if the scent marking smells still like buttered popcorn. I don't know, curious one. I haven't smelt it. We can go back towards those trees just now and have a whiff, if we like. This is too wonderful. And Zahir, you say you've never seen cheetah marking like that. Well, Zahir, that's not uncommon. It's simply because they just don't do it very often, and they don't mark that often because they are temporarily territorial. So in the absence of other predators giving them trouble, they will be territorial. But if other predators give them trouble, if there's too much lion pressure, if there's too much leopard pressure or hyena pressure, then you'll find that these cheetah will not mark. Sorry, I'm just going to stop here for a second. I think this might be the best spot. Oh, I think there's a termite mound there, Dave. Let's go and head around there. I think they're going to go onto the termite mound. Tammy, you want to know if cheetah are anything like house cats? Now that might seem like an odd question, but they actually are. Not entirely unlike house cats in that they purr, which is very unusual, of course, for a big cat, and they will domesticate. Actually domesticate quite nicely, just like a house cat will domesticate. And Genghis Khan, of course, famously had a stable of cheetah at one stage that he used as hunting dogs. You can believe it. Just move a little bit further forward. Once they cross this road, everyone, that's it, I'm afraid. And Ergag, you want to know if their scat is as smelly as lion scat. Sorry, I've just got to get out of the way so these guys behind us can have a view. Ergag, I couldn't begin to tell you, I'm afraid. I don't know if they've got smelly scat or not. We'll go back to that tree though just now and we'll actually have a smell of their urine and their scat. Yeah, I'm afraid I think they're going to cross south now. Yep. Oh, that's interesting. Am I right? Got a misconception. Yeah, I can get on. And you want to know if female cheetah is solitary, and female cheetah are, yes, generally solitary in the same way that leopards are, but they're not quite as defensive over their territories. Like I say, in the absence of pressure from other predators, they tend to be very unterritorial. At least when there is pressure from other predators, they tend to be unterritorial. Now I just need to find out, everybody, if Mike needs to make his way in here, or where he is. No, in fact, I don't have to, I don't think. That's it, they're going on to Mala Mala. Let's get one last view. We'll try and get sort of round to the front of them. He doesn't like the look of Dave on the back there, everyone. Sorry Dave, I know the angle's not great. What a treat, what an absolute treat. Yes, and they probably are, Louise makes a good point, Dave, they're probably afraid of your stomach rumbling.
I would be too.
So that's it, I'm afraid, everyone. What an incredible, incredible treat. I suppose we can follow them while they're in the firebreak here. And they seem to be heading largely towards the south. Now let's maybe move a little bit further along. Dave, with the super pop zoom, can probably get a look. Oh, that actually might be okay. Darby, you might get something there. Gone to sleep. Perfect. Long lens, ideal. Mike, do you copy Mike? I'm just going to call Mike and see if he can still get into the sighting. Of course, my radio is so defective. Mike, I can't copy you. I'm not sure if you can copy me. These animals have gone static on the firebreak area. You've got good visual from the southern boundary if you are still interested, and there are only 2 stations here. Poor guy, he's probably trying to talk to us. I'm afraid I just cannot copy him. Dave, should I go forward? Let me go forward slightly, and we can get those bushes out of their faces. He doesn't want to see cheetah with bushes in front of their faces. So they're now sitting, everybody, probably about 60 meters from us, 50 meters from us, which is about 150 feet. A bit more. Are you, David, anything?
And right there, thank you.
This is fantastic. I think we'll sit right here with them. I don't think there's any need for us to go anywhere. Brilliant. I'm just quickly going to try and get hold of Mike on the radio, because I know that he wanted to come and see them, and he probably thinks they've gone south. While I do that, let's go across to Brent and get an update from him. We'll stay right here. If the cheetah move, we'll come across immediately.
Well, there is a large warthog behind the bush. It just... Oh, there's another one coming out into the open. Let's wait for that. There we go. Hello, Piggy. So there's a very big male, but he's moved off into the thicket. And we can see that's a female. Now, like impala and wildebeest, warthog are one of the few animals that has a rutting season. And unlike impala and wildebeest, male warthog have two different ways of securing mating rights. So the one is that they will defend a group of females. Now, females live in related groups, so it can often be a mother and her daughters, and a male warthog will defend those females. Or they defend access to either water or food sources. So very interesting, and it's one of the few animals that does both. So if we look at most animals, like, an impala defends a group of females rather than a resource, whereas a wildebeest defends a resource. So a nice... I don't know if you guys heard that. Oh, we've got two bushwrikes calling here. We've got a grey-headed bushwrike as well as an orange-breasted bushwrike. Now, there's this gardenia off to the right here. The bushwrikes are sitting in there. Both are incredibly beautiful birds. And I think we're going to have to cheat to get one to come have a look at us. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cheat. I'm going to get my app out and I'm going to play the call. So what that will mean is the bushwrike will expect that there's another male in competition and hopefully pop out. And they are one of the more difficult birds to see on camera. Bee.
Hopping around there?
Have you got him?
I think so. There's a bird hopping around.
So let's try. So what we're hoping is this will draw the bushwrike out into the open. Doesn't look like he's taking the bait. Let's try the other bushwrike that was here. Coffee, tea on me. Coffee, tea on me. There we go. Oh, he jumped. He came out into the open for a second. If you come out a bit, Chandra. Oh, there we go. It's unfortunately decided it's not the bravest male, and instead of coming to challenge, it's flown away. But we're going to sit here and we're going to try and get these birds out. But while we do that, let's go. There, quickly. Sorry. Oh, you can just see that flash of color through the gap there. So we'll work on getting the bush. And there's an orange-breasted bushwrike. We'll work on getting the bushwrike out of the bush. But while we do that, let's go back to James and those cheetah.
No, it's not going to get any better.
Right, sorry about the high lift jack masking the cheetahs there. I think I'm just going to sneak slightly back. This is a difficult one. I think Corvus has got an arrangement there with Mala, so he can go there. Of course, we are unfortunately not in the same position. There we go. There we did go. There we go. And I think he's actually just realized. And so now he's pulling out. What a treat for everybody, hey? To spend time with these chaps. Just very special indeed. I will move again once he's out. Môre? Ja, baie goed. Nee, met jou?
As kieswoord, ek was nooit hier nie. Ek weet nie waar is die grens nie.
Ek dink is hierdie pad.
Ja. Jy laat ons liewer veilig speel.
Ja. It's quarantine, yeah.
Dankie man.
Okay,
Goed,
bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Have a good morning. Let me just sneak a little bit forward. How's that, Dave? So, Notebook Girl, I'm just going to move very slowly because I can only move very slightly, otherwise the picture will jump. You say, why do they move with their mouths open? I think like with most cats and with most carnivores, most animals, with most carnivores, much of the oxygen that they use comes in through the mouth. I think that's all it is. I don't think there's any other reason. I mean, it's a bit of panting, it's starting to get quite warm, but I don't think they move necessarily with their mouths more open than any other carnivore does. But what is interesting, Notebook Girl, is that they have a much enlarged nasal cavity compared with other animals. And the reason for that, sorry, the game drive radio just went in my ear there. The reason for that is that they need to inhale a huge amount of oxygen after a chase. So they can breathe through their mouths while they're chasing at that tremendous speed. And then once they catch their prey, they're not able to overpower it in the same way that a leopard or a lion can by biting through the back of the neck. They have to get it into that chokehold and clamp their jaws around the windpipe until basically they've suffocated their prey. Now, obviously if they do that, they can't breathe through their mouths as efficiently, and if you've expended as much energy as they have through a chase, running at 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour over a distance of probably about a quarter of a mile, the body is totally starved of oxygen. It goes into this kind of anaerobic respiration where lactic acid is produced and you've got to suck in oxygen. And so they've got this tremendously enlarged nasal cavity that allows them to do that while they have the mouth clamped over the windpipe of whatever it is they're trying to strangle. So that's why they've got a relatively big nose and relatively small top canines. And Elaine, you say even though these chaps are very full-bellied, if they had the chance, I think that they would try and catch something else? Elaine, certainly most of the cats would do that. I think cheetah are no different. I think they might be slightly more reticent than something like a leopard, which is far more opportunistic and is also able to stash its prey, remember. A leopard, if it's full like this, can kill a male impala, drag it up a tree, leave it there and know that it will be totally safe. Whereas a cheetah can't do that. And so they might be a little bit more reticent. I also think that where a leopard is a short burst hunter, a stalk hunter, which while requiring tremendous skill doesn't require nearly as much energy, I think you'll find that if these fat-bellied cheetah had to try and sort of chase an impala across the plains now, I think they'd really struggle. So while yes, I think they will be opportunistic, I think that their window of opportunity is perhaps narrower on account of the fact that they need more energy and they cannot protect their kills from scavengers anything like the other animals can. It's turned into just the most gorgeous, gorgeous day. Those clouds have burned away. And Janet, sorry, excuse the moving picture, that's me just shifting my weight. Janet, you say you wish leopard brothers would stay together. I know exactly what you mean. They're such a joy when they are together until they're about a year old, and then they start to kind of drift apart. And yes, I know exactly what you mean. It would be so wonderful to see Djuma in quarantine stalking the woodlands of Cheetah Plains or quarantine clearings. Unfortunately, it's just not how it goes with leopards. And I think it's very interesting that only male cheetah form these coalitions, the females don't. Mercedes, you want to know how many male cheetah will travel together, how many would form a coalition. Mercedes, I don't know. The exact answer to that. I've certainly seen records of 4 or so in a coalition. They will almost certainly be litter mates though, from the same mother. So that, I guess, precludes there being any greater number than 4. You know, a cheetah can potentially have 6 cubs, but it's highly, highly unlikely. And that any of them would survive, or that all of them would survive, was even more unlikely. And then if she was to have 4 and all of them were to be males, well, the chances of that, of course, would be 1 in 2 times 4. So what's that, David? Remember your maths. That's a 1 in 16 chance. No, it's not. It's a 1 in 8 chance. No, it's not. Is it? Is the probability added or multiplied? Anyway, it's very unlikely, regardless. And it's 1 in 8 chance, basically, that they'd all be males. And so, you know, for there to be more than 2 in a coalition is highly unlikely. They would have to be litter mates if they were in a coalition. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, male cheetah that are unrelated do not join up with each other. Nice one from you, Mobile Paddy. You're wondering if cheetah compete for mating rights. Mobile Paddy, as far as I'm aware, there is no alpha so much in this group, but I think they can have conflict. In fact, I'm pretty sure they do have conflict over mating rights, probably more so than lions do. I'm not, you know, I've never seen it myself. We see cheetah so rarely in this area that I couldn't tell you for sure. But I've certainly read of cheetah males having a fight over a girl, and well, you know, in the mammal kingdom, brothers fighting over ladies is just not uncommon, is it? That was a fly. Wonderful Twitter handle, certainly one of my new favorites, Positive Squirrel. You want to know if cheetah sleep as much as leopards and lions? I think you probably find they do, yeah. Well, they're largely crepuscular hunters, whereas leopards and lions are probably more largely nocturnal hunters. I think these chaps do sleep a lot in the middle of the day. I don't think we'll find them here necessarily this afternoon. I think they might move slightly, but I think they sleep a huge amount during the night. They will hide themselves in the night when the leopards and lions are moving. You see, their diet is exactly the same as that of leopards and lions. There's probably slightly less calcium, less bone, because as we saw with that incredible, nice link with that carcass we saw this morning, they don't eat the bones. And so while their nutrition is probably slightly different from those of leopards and lions, which have much stronger jaws and are therefore able to crunch more of the bones, their diet's exactly the same. And so physiologically, I can't see why their activity levels would be any higher. That said, we know that wild dogs are a lot more active. And, well, they do sleep a lot, but not nearly as much as the cats. I think it's because they're able to eat a lot more often. And now the morning starts to calm as the temperature starts to build. We're probably sitting at about 24 degrees Celsius now. And in the background we can hear a couple of magpie shrikes going pss, 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 pss. And Rain, you want to know if they would take on something much bigger than themselves? No, they wouldn't. The limit is probably a baby wildebeest out here. They might try a baby zebra if it was separated from the herd, but the herd will turn on them and these guys will skedaddle in the face of a zebra attack. Right, on that note, let's go and have a look at Brent. He's got some far more active primates to look at.
And here we have the vervet monkey. Looking up at the friends in the tree. So they've just come from a drink at... Oh, quickly, Jean-Andre, in front of me. Slender mongoose. That's not something we get too often. Yes! Look at that. Look at him go. Nice, Jean-Andre. Now, that is not a little predator we get on camera too often. The slender mongoose. You can see that black tip to the tail. Off he goes. Feeling a little bit exposed. Nice. Nice, Jean-Andre. I think it's the first slender mongoose. No, I've had slender mongoose with you before, yes. But now, monkey, fortunately for us, did not run away, even after we got overly excited by a small predator. Now, of course, a monkey is also a predator, but an omnivore. Eats leaves, fruits, birds, eggs, lizards, and it will eat carrion if it can scavenge some. One thing I always like about vervet monkeys is they always look guilty. Like they've just done something wrong or they're about to. I'm just going to move a little bit to get some more monkey action in the tree.
Got one here.
You got one? Oh, there it is. Looking at us. Oh, off he goes. I'm just going to get us a little bit further from the tree. So Jean-Andre's got a little bit more wiggle room with the camera, because otherwise we can't tilt that high. Unfortunately, the sun's in a very awkward spot for us. You got them there. Forward a bit, oh, no, he's coming to look at us. So, a juvenile.
Which one do you got?
There
we go.
Yeah, he's literally come to the edge, and if you move, now, if you look at the monkey, there he is, and he looks at us. Now, if I emulate his behavior, they generally do it straight back at you. See, if you move your head, there we go. So when you see it move like that, I'm doing the exact same thing. And monkeys will often do that. It's actually a very important little response that monkeys do. So if they spot something off in the grass somewhere, they try and move like that to make a leopard or lion look at them so they can guarantee that it is a predator. At the moment, he's eating some nice fresh shoots of the jackalberry that's disappearing. I get some more over there. You can just see them jumping around. And if we go a little bit to there we go, there he is. Oh, no, shy. Very shy monkey. So, what the monkey was doing, and I was doing it to him, so he emulated as you go like this. So monkeys often do that. If they're trying to spot a leopard, they'll look down into the grass and go, oh, Jean-Andre spotted something. Oh. Incredibly agile little creatures. And it's like, I'm sorry if I affect Jean-Andre's camera work, it's me moving to try and make the monkey come look at us. There we go. So they often do that very, very quick head movement when they're looking at something, and by moving, they're trying to encourage whatever they're looking at to move, so to give away what it definitely is. And they have incredible eyesight, and definitely one of our biggest allies when it comes to finding big cats. They've got incredible eyesight. They sit at the top of trees. They can spot things from often very far away. And then we have that very distinct oh, but enough of this monkey business. Let's go back to James, who's got some mobile cheetah.
So there is a bit of movement here, everybody. And like I suspected, I think they will do this sort of thing. They're marking territory now, and I think they'll move just a little bit during the course of the day. They'll lie down, snooze for a while, move a bit, lie down, snooze for a while, and then move a bit again. Maybe he was just relieving himself, David, and unlike the lions, is not prepared to do it right where he sleeps. Oh, and the breakfast bird is calling. the chin spot batis. Wonderfully peaceful morning now. From the eerie expectation of the mist to this complete sort of breathing out, exhaling of the earth, and intermittent, of course, grumbling from David's stomach. David, you must eat more dinner in the evenings if you're going to be so ravenous come the morning. Margaret, you want to know if one would make a kill, if there will, if one will kill and the other will just sort of share it. No, they both kill, and they are able to take down bigger prey as a coalition than they are as just one of them, which is quite interesting. And I find it fascinating that that only the males are social, that the females are not, and that I suspect that's got a lot to do with actual protection of youngsters, preventing infanticide, looking after a territory, far more than it has to do with actual prey availability or, taking down bigger prey, because a female can handle looking after youngsters very easily. 4 of them, and she'll manage to hunt on her own very successfully. Just going to quickly give an update on the radio. Stations I'm copying only those stations within sort of 400 meters of me. These 2 male cheetah are still static on the firebreak. Visual is about 4 out of 5, but they are static. What a wonderful morning we've had. Lions in the mist, cheetahs in the sun, and spiders in the dew. Sometimes one does just feel that all is right with the world. The last 2 times I've come to Cheetah Plains, I've seen 1 impala and 1 terrified steenbok, and that's been about it. Now we didn't know where to stop. There were kudu, there were bits and pieces of nyala herds knocking about the place, there were elephants, and of course these 2 fantastic cheetah. The one last thing I want to tell you about them, and I always find it so amazing, is that if you've got a house cat or a dog, if you watch them lie down, they can't lie like these cheetah can. They can lift their heads like that briefly and then they put them down again. But a cheetah is adapted to being able to lie completely flat like that and lift the head and rest with the head at that kind of 90-degree angle. Now I challenge you to try and lie comfortably at that angle. Lie on your side and then lift your head up 90 degrees and see how comfortable that feels. A cheetah has a special adaptation to be able to lie like that. I think there's greater flexibility in the neck and certainly muscles that allow it to rest in that position where it's not deeply painful and inflaming on the joints for them to lie with the head at that very strange angle. There's one last thing also, Davey. What is that coming this way? Alright, I'm just going to discover what's coming across the clearings. Let's head back to Brent and see what he has to show us.
So from one clearing to another, we're on quarantine, but it is coming towards the end of the summer Rise Safari. It's been wonderful having you with us. Jandra and I are going to bid you adieu and let you go back to James, and there's a glorious Shikankanka.
So there are not the cheetah, of course. Those are some wildebeest. There are some wildebeest, and they are coming across the clearings here. That's interesting. And I wonder if those cheetah won't become slightly animated by that situation during the course of the day. Those are the plains of Mala Mala. I suspect, however, like we were discussing, these chaps are so very full that they won't be doing anything for the rest of the day. But just notice here that they have come into the woodland. They don't lie in clearings. They won't, I think it's unlikely if they can avoid it that they're going to lie sort of on an exposed bush in the clearing if they can be on the fringing vegetation. And I think for many of the years that I've been a guide, I've looked for cheetah in much the wrong places. I see a clearing and you look for them sort of stalking the middle of the clearing, which makes absolutely no sense at all. I'm going to mark territory again. Now, we were asked about tree climbing in cheetah, and you know, they could actually climb a tree sort of like that. As long as it's got a bit of slope on it, they can tend to get up to the top if there's a flat branch for them to get into. So you do see them quite high up in trees, but they won't lie in trees in the same way that a leopard will. Very, very rarely. I say, I'm kind of qualifying everything I say because I know that Brent had a sighting of cheetah where he was saying exactly what I would have been saying, and a cheetah promptly got up into a tree and lay down like a leopard. And until I heard that, I would have said that it just was simply not possible. He's now sniffing where his brother has marked, and I think he will do the same. No, he didn't. That's interesting. Hello, Cat in Tampa. You said that you were so happy to see me this morning because you thought I was on leave already. Well, Cat, you know, I decided to spend a few days with me old pal Brent Leo Smith to catch up and see what his life has been like with needles stuck in most of the way into his leg. And so I'm going to be heading off tomorrow morning for my leave down in the Eastern Cape with me old mum and me dad. All right, everybody, we've got half a minute left of these great cats. I think they're going to go south into Mala Mala. Thank you very much, David, for your efforts today. A big thank you to Gendre and Brent on the other vehicle, of course, and I'm so glad Brent found Gendre some shampoo to use. A big thanks to Louise in the final control and Kirsten ably assisting her. Mostly to all of you. Wonderful discussion and comment we've had over these great cats that we've seen. We'll see you this afternoon at 1500 hours. Until then, bye-bye.